NutraCast. Meta AI is the personal AI to help you with whatever you need. Plus, it meets you where you are. Not only is Meta AI now an app, but it's also on the apps you already know and love: Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger. Plus the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. It's easy to access wherever you are. So whether you're talking or texting, Meta AI is convenient to use throughout your day. Experience our newest AI that's tailored to you by downloading the Meta AI app. Try the Meta AI app today on the Apple App Store and Google Play.
Enter the world of sports the way you want with EA Sports College Football 26. Whether you rise through the ranks as a coach or chase greatness from high school recruit to Heisman, build your legacy and wear your colors with pride. Buy College Football 26 now at go.ea.com/MVP-bundle and bring glory home today. EA Sports College Football 26 is rated E for everyone. Includes in-game purchases, including random items.
There's a change happening in the way we live, the way we work, the way we spend our money and make our decisions. We are evolving to be more conscious in our actions in a way that serves the world and makes it a better place. Welcome to the Ethical Evolution. The Ethical Evolution podcast is brought to you by Ethical Change Agency. I'm Bindi, I'm the founder, and my mission is to help ethical entrepreneurs and holistic healers to find their voice through spiritual coaching and podcasting. I'm honoured to bring you the stories of those who create change through healing, kindness, innovation, purpose, and spirit. Understanding that to create collective change, we need to be the change. It all begins with us. Hey, before we get into this episode, I just wanted to let you know that you can now grab my album of guided meditations. It's called Sourced by Spirit, and it's on all streaming platforms, including Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Tidal, YouTube Music, and many more. There's 11 guided meditations ranging from 4 minutes through to 10 minutes to help you reset your mind and your body at any time. Okay, now let's get on with the show. After losing his 19-year-old son Connor in 2018, Jonathon Aslay's grief led him on a soul-searching inner journey where he became aware of an often overlooked dimension of the dating conversation. He realised that the relationship process reveals the most common emotional health issue faced by many singles seeking a partner: a distressing lack of self-worth, self-regard, and self-love. Today, he is on a mission to encourage both men and women to fully love themselves with his book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway?, packed with fun, engaging spiritual and personal growth practices. Join us as Jonathon guides us through how to ethically get to know someone when dating that leads to true connection. Welcome, Jonathon, to the Ethical Evolution.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much, Bindi.
Now, I'm excited to be with you today. For those people who don't know who you are and what you do, can you go ahead and tell us?
I'll try to give you the Cliff Note version. So professionally, I'm a dating and relationship coach, predominantly helping women in midlife understand men in midlife. Because the dating, I call it the dating marketplace, is so confusing to people, particularly for the demographic that happens to be where I most speak to, is divorced people. I try to bring some level of awareness, some consciousness, because here's the challenge. Dating and relationships trigger the number one emotional health wound I believe most humans experience, and that is, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, and I'm not likable.
Yep.
And boy, does our stuff get triggered when we start dating or in a relationship with someone.
And that's it. It's so unconscious, isn't it? Like you get into a relationship with someone and you go, well, where did that come from?
I know. And, it's interesting. I mean, I'm guilty of wearing rose-colored glasses. I'm guilty of taking red flags and painting them green, and so, it's I believe I believe relationships are our vehicle for our greatest individual growth. Is the minute we interact with another human being. It's an opportunity for the individual to grow, whether it's romantic, whether it's family, whether it's professional, whether it's friends. They are great laboratories or petri dishes for growth.
That's a nice way to look at it. Now, looking at mid-year relationships and how you got into coaching people in that space, how did you get into this?
Yeah, so by the way, I fell into this by accident after turning and going through a divorce, turning 40 and going through a divorce 15 plus years ago. I found myself out in the dating marketplace, and there was this thing called online dating.
Yes.
You could just put in exactly what you want, and someone would magically appear. And sure enough, I had a date with nice woman, great date, something wasn't right. Couple days later, nice woman, great date, something wasn't right. Couple days later, and in 1 year, I had over 100 internet dates.
Whoa.
And I realized that I was the common denominator of what's not right.
Preach.
So, and I was a train wreck at that period of my life. I was going through a divorce. I lost my high-end corporate job, and I got wiped out in the market crash of 2008 and 9. And so online dating was almost a form of addiction for me. But what was interesting, Bindi, was I was speaking to women all across the country, talking on the phone, hearing about their divorces, hearing about raising their children, hearing about all of their emotional challenges. And then I'd have women reach out to me, hey, Jonathon, since we're friends, could you look at my dating profile and help me make it better? So I'm like, okay, well, this picture sucks, and this picture looks like this, and this essay makes it sound like you're a broken, wounded person. So rewrite this and do this. And then a month later, Bindi, I'd get a call. Jonathon, I met a great guy. Would you look at his profile and tell me what you think of him? And all of a sudden, my business was birthed because I had the capacity to look beyond the surface and read people. I took my professional sales hat that I had for 20 years and applied it to this business. And so I jokingly say, well, just like the FBI have profilers for serial killers, I can profile serial daters, serial monogamous, nice guys, bad boys, and the guy looking for you. And that's kind of how this business was birthed.
Wow. That's incredible. And look, it's sorely needed in today's marketplace, if we want to call it that. I know it sounds a bit ick, but particularly for people in midlife, they're also facing the challenge that most likely they've been in a long-term relationship or marriage that's ended in divorce. They've probably got kids, property, all kinds of things floating around behind that, along with other complications. Then, you're out in this world that you haven't been in for a long time, and you're finding yourself in a space that's not familiar, and you have to try and find your way through it and navigate it. And so, internet dating, but there's also the apps now. Like, that's a whole other world. How do you help them navigate that?
So you brought up something so important. So when I first began, it was dating sites, and you used your laptop. We didn't, when I was beginning, there wasn't really, smartphones were just being invented, 15 plus years ago. And so with the sophistication that it has now, dating sites are more robust. There's more information. There's longer essays and things like that. An app is very limited, and it's usually just a few photographs, a few words. And what's happened with the apps is because of this swiping, I was going to say hamster wheel, but it's not that, like a Pavlovian type of thing where you're just swiping. It's marginalized people to literally right or left. Whereas the sites in the past at least had more robustness, like a resume with photographs and a video, for argument's sake, if you were trying to get a job. Swipe apps is like the little tiny, passport photo, and you have to make a decision.
Yeah, and it just makes it so much harder, doesn't it? Like, it's almost like that getting to really know someone goes out the window, and it's all on surface level, isn't it?
Well, sadly, it's because humans have not been trained at actually how to get to know another human being. We operate very much from the surface. If you look at dating sites, for example, the first 13 questions, how tall are they? What's their physical appearance? What's their job? What's their religion? Do they smoke? Do they drink? These, certainly it's important to have these base type of filters, but it doesn't give you any insight into a person's values. It doesn't give you any insight into how their lifestyle might even remotely work with your lifestyle. And more importantly, Bindi, emotional maturity. And, here's the fantasy, here's the sad part. You've been married for 28 years to somebody. You were with them a few years before you got married. Now you're back in the dating marketplace, and you're maybe a 55-year-old person, but you don't even know how to get to know another human being because you haven't done it in 30 years, let alone having the wherewithal to ask. Really, the challenge is most people don't even know themselves. They don't even know what's right for them, but we operate from this premise that chemistry will equal relationship success. And if there's love at first sight, it's just going to magically work, because magic fairy dust always works at first sight.
That always burns out at some point, doesn't it?
Amen. That is true. That is true.
I guess, I'm curious how, if we're entering that dating world again after so many years, how do we learn these ways of getting to know someone in a healthy way that doesn't seem too imposing, but it is in a genuine and authentic way?
This is a great question. And in my coaching, and, I work with people individually, I ask them to share what's their greatest fear when entering into a relationship. It's a powerful question to ask for yourself. And what beliefs do you have about dating and relationships? That's a powerful question. What's the purpose of dating? What's the purpose of a relationship? Actually, and then why do you want it? All of these questions are good questions to ask yourself, but then ask another person these same questions, because, most people have a short-term mating strategy. If we like each other, we'll figure it out. Versus a long-term mating strategy is, I want a wife, I want a husband. And I know it sounds contrived to say I'm looking for this type of person, but it's being intentional about knowing who you are and who can actually fit with you. There's a big difference. And when you're looking for somebody who can fit with you, then you ask the radically honest questions right up front, because you don't need to waste your time if it's misaligned.
And this is where you've really got to get to know yourself, isn't it? Like, particularly when you've been in a long-term relationship for a long time, you kind of lose a little bit of yourself and getting back to yourself. And it's really like, what do I really want? Who's the kind of person I want to be with? What am I really looking for? And being honest with yourself. So this is where we end up looking at self-love, isn't it, Jonathan?
Oh, well, you nailed it on the head. And it's about, to some degree, from a relationship standpoint, first, really assess your lifestyle. Like, what is my lifestyle? Do I go to the gym every morning? Do I see my family and friends on weekends? Like, what is your lifestyle like? And why I'm hyper focusing on this before I get to the self-love piece is that, as we age, we come to life, as you said, property, children, we call it baggage in the dating realm. I prefer luggage, because that just sounds a little bit nicer classy than baggage. This is my luggage. But how can my luggage fit with someone else's luggage? Because we just expect somebody else to adopt all of, either accept our luggage or we'll morph ourselves into someone else's luggage. It's important to address this before you begin dating, because you don't want to start investing in someone who's misaligned with you, as I said earlier. But you just said a critical piece, the self-love. Self-love is self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence, self-reliance, self-judgment, self-discipline. These are all wrapped in the word love. But most importantly, the key is to recognize that we most likely have all been wounded in our childhood or in our adult lives, and have we healed from those wounds? Because whenever you get triggered and you keep blaming other people as an example, then it's going to be always a painful experience, because a trigger is something that's old within inside of you that's resurrected. But here's even the deeper, tricky piece. And this, at least here in the United States, I can't speak for other parts of the world, but I can feel pretty confident. Here in the United States, we are suckling on the nipple of, I need you to love me so I can feel good about myself. I need you to accept me so I can feel good about myself. I need you to validate me so I can feel good about myself. I need you to constantly give so I can feel good about myself. We are so entrenched in that people are dating from a dependent place for the most part instead of an interdependent place. And that's what self-love is.
And that really it shines through when you get in a relationship, isn't it? Like if you're not good with yourself, it's going to fall apart pretty quick. And I know I went through a pattern for many years where I went from one relationship to the other, and the last one had ended in such a disaster that I just went, you know what? The common denominator here is me. The one who's always in this situation is me. And so I was seeing this pattern, and I just went, okay, we need to go and work on some stuff. And so I did that, and radically different now. But
it's interesting.
Yeah, what?
So Joe Dispenza just put out a video. Why it's something to the effect why women are happier being alone. And I thought this was fascinating. But there's an element of the video that's all centered around your individual empowerment. And so with a rather dysfunctional dating pool out in the marketplace, we have a lot of just deeply wounded, dysfunctional human beings. When you adopt a self-love practice, you don't necessarily need a relationship to fulfill you.
Yeah.
Now, you might become more of a magnetic attractor for it, but you're not going to settle for just a warm body to fill the slot, so to speak.
Yep.
So there's an empowerment that comes with self-love. And guess what? Whether you are in a relationship or not, you're going to be okay. That's the beauty of it.
Yes, 100%. And that's the space that I reached. And I was like, you know what? It's getting back to not being a people pleaser and just needing to fill space. Yeah. It's about having boundaries and, having, that self-worth and knowing what you will and won't accept. And also being very clear about what you want and what you don't want. And not painting those red flags green, by the way. One of the...
By the way, and I'm guilty of it. So I'm like, I do this for a living.
Yes.
And because I'm a human being, I'm riddled with flaws. You know, I mean, there's nothing easy about this. And yet at the same time, even one of my most a very important, a treasured relationship for me ended, and it was very painful. It was also one of my deepest learning lessons.
Yeah.
And so I look at every experience with a gigantic amount of gratitude, because I keep evolving, whether I'm in relationship or not. I look at it all as an opportunity to grow as an individual.
Now, one of the things, I've spoken to a few dating and relationship coaches throughout the years, and one of the things that some of them highlighted to me is that we're not good at selling ourselves. As you were getting to before, you use your sales background to help people, write their profiles and all that kind of stuff. We're not great at selling ourselves in an attractive way, I guess. Do you see that?
Yeah, and I think of the word market myself versus sell, and just a little bit different because I'm thinking of it from an advertising point of view. And I get, in other words, we're not good at advertising ourselves or marketing ourselves. I just want to, and it's only because the sales word has a different connotation to it, but it's all relatively the same, Bindi. What humans do a very poor job is presenting themselves. Let's incorporate marketing, advertising and sales in presenting themselves, number one. And now, an attractive woman will use her looks to present herself, but she really, in some cases may not go much past the surface in that realm. So, for example, online dating. I look at profiles every day, hundreds of profiles a day from women and men. And I will say this with absolutely, the numbers are equal. 99% of every profile I look at is so poorly curated. And then they wonder, it's garbage in, garbage out kind of thing. So that, I mean, right off the bat, by the way, if I spoke to those 99 out of 100 people, they all go, oh, mine's great. Like there's a absolute delusion to it. So they do a poor job of marketing themselves. But coming back to something I said earlier, they do a terrible job at pre-qualifying a person.
Yes.
Most humans do a terrible job pre-qualifying up front before you ever meet someone. I jokingly say, you're not, like people will say, never interview someone. That's bad manners to interview someone. I say the complete opposite. You want to interrogate people. Dating is an interrogation process. Now, for fun, play with me for a second. What is the word interrogate? Why do police people interrogate a potential subject? For one reason, they want to get to the truth. That's the whole point. Interrogation, like you want to get to the truth of this person, but we've been indoctrinated in this very slow drip marketing, a little bit of time here, a little bit of time there. See how they act, see how they pay the waiter, see how they treat other people, instead of just being point blank. Okay, why did your last relationship end? When did it end? How do you feel about money? How do you feel about sex? How do you feel about this? How do you ask every question and then go have fun?
And that's where, part of our values are super important, aren't they? Because that's where you can then come up with that criteria that's really important to you.
It's interesting that, most people subscribe to honesty, integrity, and trust. I mean, most base values. But let me give you a value that could be different from one person next. One person could absolutely value health. And for them, eating vegetarian and eating this and eating that and exercising is like such a high value, it's 100% for them. I don't know if they're going to appreciate hanging out with someone who eats, bonbons all day and potato chips and that sort of thing, because that's a value around health, as an example. I'm trying to think of another strong value. Charity, by the way, you can Google a list of values, but for some people they're radically philanthropic, and other people are hoarders of their resources. Which there's nothing wrong to hoard your resources, but other people are, so you're going to have conflict. So it's important to know what your core values are. For me, as an example, my core value is personal development, self-help, spiritual work. It's so important that if it's not an active part of your life, then I don't want to engage with someone that's like, oh yeah, I meditate once a week kind of thing. It's just, we're in different spaces because it's such an important value to me, as an example.
And, even if your values don't 100% align, it doesn't necessarily mean a red flag, does it? Because, you can be with someone who accepts and understands and supports those values without also having to be 100% subscribed to them.
So you chose the word red flag, and I love that. So red flag means ask more questions. Deal breaker is a deal breaker, okay? So one is somebody who doesn't share my desire to ski, and I'm just picking that off the top of my head. I'm not, it's not like I'm owning that. And for some people, that might be a deal breaker that you won't go skiing with me. I'm just picking one random thing.
Yeah.
Or it might be a red flag. It's like, red flag is, well, why wouldn't you go skiing? What's your reservation about it? And then you find out, I broke my leg skiing. My feet get cold. I'm picking such an obscure one. But now let's differentiate between red flags that are character flaws versus differences. There's a real difference between, like, the skiing was a difference. It's a preference, okay? Yeah. It's a difference in preference. Then there are character flaws that, a red flag I'll give you an example. This is a very crude example. You're at a restaurant, you notice the man treated for the dinner, and you just happen to notice they gave a very minimal tip, okay? As an example. Well, you might say, now, for one person, you might say, oh, they're cheap, deal breaker. But a red flag means, oh, I wonder why he did that. Let me ask a question. And you might find out that the reason was because he went and, handed the waiter $20 earlier. Or maybe is that they didn't feel like the service was adequate enough. And that's so do you see, like, we
Yeah.
could judge that as a character flaw, but a red flag means you're going to ask more questions about it.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about as well is manifestation and actually finding the one, right? I've been doing a lot of work with Dr. Joe Vitale around the attractor factor and all that kind of stuff. And, really anything you want to manifest in life, you have to be super clear on what it is and there's steps to it. How important do you think it is to get really clear in your mind what it is you want to attract in terms of a life partner?
So this is a great question, and I'm a believer in the law of attraction in the sense that the energy you put out is the energy you bring back into your life from that vantage point. I don't think it's so radically specific where you can say, I want $1 million, but you could say, I want abundance. And what that, that can mean a lot of different things. And so if you want love in your life, that might be, you can find love in a variety of different ways. Now, the minute you become more specific, like, 6'2", full head of hair, six-pack abs, and I work with women, so I'm using that analogy. You're kind of limiting the universe's, Rolodex of potential possibilities. But to manifest, like great communication with someone, to manifest a aligned partner, I'm a big proponent of getting clear in the areas of chemistry, communication, compatibility, character, and commitment, those things. And being aligned for that within yourself, you have a greater chance of attracting that in. Again, I don't believe, and I struggle with this because I listen to Abraham Hicks, I listen to Joe Dispenza, I listen to all the, law of attraction manifestors. But what I realize, it's more about how I feel about myself versus the actual, receiving of the tangible, if you will.
Yeah.
When it comes to love, let's just put it to you this way. I would rather you think in the affirmative and positive than the absolute opposite, because I can guarantee you, if you're focused on, what's not happening, what's wrong, and all the negative, I guarantee you won't attract love. But you put your odds in your favor when you're in that energy of abundance. That I do believe.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. Now, Jonathon, if there are people listening at the moment that are in that midlife bracket, like ourselves, and they are in the dating pool and they're having troubles, what's the top 5 tips that you would give them to sort of start to break through the challenges that they're having?
Well, so it starts with know thyself, and I'm a big proponent of every human being learning their love attachment style. And if you're not familiar with it, write it down, love attachment style, and do your homework around that. I think it's really radically important to know your fears, your insecurities, your negative patterns, your limiting beliefs, your judgments of others, how your actions affect others. And that's encompassed in self-awareness, along with knowing what triggers you. I think these are good things to start from a know thyself perspective. Know your weaknesses. I know one of my weaknesses as a man, I'm terrible at international travel. I'm just not good at it. I have so much anxiety. I'm a nightmare to travel with. So I really need a strong person to be with me. And a lot of people go, well, that you're just a weak man. But I just know that of myself. I don't need to I don't want you to I'm going to tell you this in advance so you don't get surprised when it happens. But know this and then adopt a healthy emotional self-care practice, whether it's personal development, self-help, spiritual work, or therapy. Develop a strong practice, because these will start putting the odds in your favor. If you're going to put yourself out in the dating marketplace, Online dating happens to be the number one place people are meeting. Over 60% of people in the United States in 2024 met their partner online. So curate a kick-ass, profile that says, I want to meet this person. Like you want it to be that awesome instead of ambiguous, ambivalent, unintentional, which I see. Those are just some. Oh, and then I would encourage everybody to read the book Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. It's not a dating or relationship book. It's a communication book. Most human beings are terrible at identifying their needs, let alone expressing it in a way that can be seen, heard, and understood. So do homework if you're going to put yourself out there, because what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And guess what? Here in the United States, 65% of second marriages end and 75% of third marriages end. If that's the statistic, then maybe we are the common denominator to our own problems.
You're going to be a busy guy, Jonathan. I can tell you, particularly in the States. That's just mind blowing, and I love those tips. But one thing that's been, I'm curious in the back of my mind is, in today's world, what I'm seeing is that there is the fear of this catfishing trend that's going on, particularly in online dating, where people are creating a persona where it's not themselves, they're using someone else's, persona, and they're pretending to be someone that they're not. This is real. I've actually had it happen to me. And anyone I speak to, they're like, yeah, it's happened to me too. Like, it's just like a virus. How can people be on the alert for that, but not to a point that it actually sabotages them?
Well, this is a really, 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 really easy problem to solve. And just for the record, Bindi, my photographs have been stolen hundreds, if not almost 1,000 times, used on fake profiles in a variety of different ways. It's a really simple way to fix it. We all have these smartphones with a little camera on it. You just do a video chat. It's that simple. And anyone who avoids a video chat, that's a hard no. First, you engage. And by the way, you do not engage more than a couple days with text messaging and maybe a telephone call or two, and immediately go to a video chat. And anyone who resists it, and by the way, there's sophisticated scam artists out there where they put the camera so far away. They usually prey on desperate people. So if you right off the bat, set that boundary. I'm going to want to do a video chat very early on. And if they say no, just go, that's okay. I'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, that's really, really great advice because, when you're in that space and you're looking for someone to share your world and your heart with, it's a very vulnerable space. So you can, quite easily let your guard down and not realize that it's going on.
Yeah, it's sad, but, that's an easy way to solve it. You solve it that fast. It's that easy. Yeah. And anyone who rejects it, just move on to the next person.
Yeah, that's really great advice. Now, Jonathan, you are a huge YouTuber. People can find you online. But can you tell us if people want to get in touch with you, find out more, get your book, that kind of stuff, where can they go?
Great. Thank you. First off, Bindi, thank you so much. It's been so fun to be interviewed by you. You're fantastic. So my name is listed here, Jonathon Aslay. You can just cut and paste that, put it in Google. You can find my YouTube channel where I produce over 4 or 5 live videos per week. I have a website, and you can click on that. You can hit the contact button, or you could schedule a discovery call with me, see if working with a coach is right for you. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on TikToks, and all that kind of stuff. But so you just put my name into Google. It's listed right here. And if it resonates with you, reach out and we'll jump on a phone, see if I can help you attract amazing partner in your life. And I will say this, I get phone calls each week from women working with me. Jonathon, I met a great guy. Jonathon, I met a great guy. Jonathon, I met a great guy. And they know the difference because they're operating from an empowered place and not a disempowered place.
Look at the great work you're doing. It must be very rewarding for you.
Oh, I so get off on this.
Now, Jonathan, I got the last big question for you. What's the change you'd like to see in the world, and how can we bring it to life?
Oh, I guess to some extent I'm an advocate for self-love, but what I'm most an advocate for is individual empowerment. I use the dating and relationship conversation to really encourage personal development, self-help, spiritual work, therapy to heal from the things that cause us the most emotional grief. And so I'm just a big advocate for that, and I love encouraging people to do the inner work because guess what? Let me rewind. I was a gigantic train wreck almost 20 years ago, emotionally speaking. I went to bed wishing I didn't wake up for a very long time. And now I jump out of bed at 5 a.m. because life is so filled with so many amazing experiences. And when we embrace that empowerment within us, we actually get to live life in a way that is juicy, delicious, and happy, in my opinion.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, and self-empowerment, like when we get that bit right, like everything else just flows from it, and that's, I think, how we change the world, one conversation, one relationship at a time.
Exactly. That's why I'm on here talking at the top of my lungs. So,
Jonathan, you've been an absolute delight. Thank you so much for being a part of the Ethical Evolution.
Thank you, Bindi. It's been a blast.
Thanks for listening to the Ethical Evolution podcast. If you're ready to be the change and would love to work with me on finding your voice through spiritual coaching or creating your own podcast with impact, visit ethicalchangeagency.com. If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's growing every day with great content and highlights you may not have heard on the podcast. In addition, please subscribe to the podcast on Spotify or Apple, and why not leave a 5-star review? If you're not following me on social media, you can find me at Ethical Change Agency on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, and at DJ Bindi on TikTok and Instagram.
Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Peter.
We're the founders of Electrocast Media, bringing you great podcasts like Nightmare Road Stories, Tech Talk Revolution, and Bodacious Minds.
Electrocast networks include Ruby for female empowerment, the Best Business Network, and GPN for geopolitics. We built this company to create community and amplify diverse voices, and we really appreciate your support.
So, keep listening to Electrocast podcasts and hear the culture.
Electrocast. I'm Iris, host of Or Whatever Movies and the forthcoming Powers of Darkness podcast. For the better part of a decade, we've been unraveling a literary mystery that begins with a strange version of Dracula. Yes, that Dracula. It's a different story, imbued with a potentially insidious agenda. What we've already found so far reshapes what we thought we knew, but the investigation isn't over. Support our efforts to finish what we've started and bring the full story to light. Go now to Kickstarter.com and search up Powers of Darkness to learn more. Coming soon on Electrocast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Electrocast. Electrocast.